You're always trying to be the good guy. You don't want to upset anyone. You smile when you don't feel like it. You help even when you're drained. You go out of your way just to keep the peace. But let me ask you something. Has that kindness earned you real respect? Or just more people walking all over you? How many times have you swallowed a no because you didn't want to look mean? How many times have you betrayed yourself just to keep others happy? You know the truth. Being too nice, it's killing you slowly. When you're always available, you're no longer special. When you're always smiling, no one notices your pain. And when you're always there for everyone, you start to realize no one's really there for you. This world doesn't treat overly nice people kindly. It uses them. It drains them. And when it's done, it forgets them. So maybe it's time you wake up. Let's break this down. What does being too nice really mean? It doesn't mean you're kind. It doesn't mean you're compassionate. It means you put everyone above yourself. It means you sacrifice your own needs just to avoid making someone uncomfortable. And let's be real. That's not kindness. That's fear. It's the fear of being disliked. The fear of disappointing people. The fear of confrontation. The fear that if you say no, they'll walk away. So instead, you give too much. You say yes when you don't want to. You laugh at jokes that don't feel right. You agree with things you don't believe in. All because you're afraid of what might happen if you don't. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. When you're too nice, people stop taking you seriously. They stop listening. They stop respecting you. You become easy to ignore, easy to use, easy to manipulate. Why? Because you never push back. You never take up space. You never make anyone uncomfortable. And when you avoid discomfort at all costs, you lose power. Real strength isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about standing your ground, saying no without guilt, setting boundaries without apologizing, and walking away when your worth isn't being recognized. So if you're sitting there thinking, but I just want people to like me, let me ask you this. What's the point of being liked by everyone if you don't even like yourself? In 12th century France, a man lived whose brilliance was only matched by the depth of his emotions. His name was Peter Abelard, philosopher, logician, and a fearless challenger of the church. But his story wasn't just about ideas and reason. It was a tragic tale of a kind heart, too kind for the brutal world he lived in. Peter was at the height of his fame, teaching philosophy in Paris, admired by students all across Europe. One of them was Heloise, a young woman of sharp intellect and rare independence, the niece of a powerful church official. Their relationship started with lessons, but quickly turned into something far deeper. They fell in love, passionately, openly, and against all the rules. But unlike the typical men of his time, Abelard wasn't interested in secrecy or control. He wasn't manipulative. He didn't play power games. He loved her with all he had and chose to do the honorable thing. He married her in secret, even though he knew that decision could destroy everything: his career, his reputation, and possibly his life. And it did. When Heloise's uncle found out, he wasn't moved by the sincerity of their love. He felt betrayed and humiliated. One night, he sent men to break into Abelard's room. They didn't kill him. They did something worse. They castrated him. And with that single act, Peter's world came crashing down. He withdrew into a monastery. Heloise was forced into a convent. Their bodies were separated, but their souls stayed bound. Years later, they began writing letters that still survive today, filled with longing, sorrow, and unresolved love. But underneath the romance lies a psychological truth. Carl Jung once said that within each of us is a shadow, the part of our psyche that holds the things we suppress: anger, selfishness, desire, pride. The more we deny the shadow, the more it controls us from the dark. Abelard spent his life trying to be the good man, the ideal teacher, the respectful lover, the obedient believer. He always said yes. Yes to love. Yes to duty. Yes to sacrifice. He never said no, not even to the things that slowly broke him. Jung believed that when we refuse to confront our own darkness, the world reflects it back at us in painful ways. That's what happened to Peter. By trying to silence his own anger, his own limits, his own boundaries, He left himself wide open to those who had no trouble using cruelty as a weapon. Abelard's life wasn't destroyed because he loved too deeply. It was destroyed because he tried to be everything for everyone, because he never had the courage to choose one path and walk it fully. In the end, Peter wanted the approval of the church and the embrace of love, two forces that could never coexist in his time. And instead of saying no to one, he lost them both. Sometimes, kindness is not strength. It's fear in disguise. And if you're not brave enough to draw a line, the world will draw it for you, and it will cut deep. Let me ask you something. How many times have you said yes, or done something you didn't want to do, just because you didn't want to hurt someone's feelings? But deep down, you were the one getting hurt. We're taught from a young age that being nice is a virtue. Be polite, they say. Be generous, be kind, don't make waves. But no one ever teaches us where the line is. When does kindness stop being strength and start becoming self-destruction? The truth is, sometimes behind the mask of kindness is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being alone, fear of disappointing others. So you keep smiling. You keep agreeing. You keep saying sure, even when every part of you is screaming no. And that's not kindness. That's self-abandonment. Real kindness comes from strength, from knowing who you are, from setting boundaries, from choosing when to give and when to step back. But toxic kindness? That comes from fear, from a need to be liked, from avoiding conflict, from guilt that's not even yours to carry. People who fall into this trap often can't say no. Not to the friend who constantly takes, not to the boss who overworks them, not to the family member who crosses every line. And when you can't say no, you slowly betray yourself. You bury your own needs, your own voice, until one day you either explode or you quietly fade. Healthy kindness means drawing a line. It means understanding that saying no isn't rude, it's necessary. You can't be the hero in everyone else's story while being the casualty in your own. It means recognizing that your time, your energy, your peace, they matter just as much as anyone else's. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is say, sorry, not this time. Let's try something together. Next time someone asks you for something, anything, pause for a second. Ask yourself, do I genuinely want to do this? Or am I just afraid that if I say no, they'll get upset or pull away? If the answer is fear, that's not kindness. That's performing. That's protecting a version of yourself that's always agreeable, always reliable, always selfless. But you're not a robot built to please everyone. You're human, and you have the right to be tired. You have the right to say no. You have the right to choose how and where your energy is spent. And guess what? The people who truly respect you will respect your boundaries too. The ones who disappear when you stop saying yes, they were never really there for you in the first place. So learn to say no, not with anger, not with guilt, but with calm, with confidence. Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do is choose yourself. Sometimes the biggest mistakes in history come from a good place, from kindness. But not the kind of kindness we show to friends or loved ones. This is about being kind to people who are waiting for a chance to destroy you. Throughout history, leaders have made this error over and over again, showing mercy to the wrong people, giving trust where there should have been caution, hoping that goodwill could tame those driven by power and ideology. But mercy toward the wrong people is like watering poison ivy. Sooner or later, it grows strong enough to choke everything around it. One of the most painful examples of this comes from modern Iranian history, from the rule of Mohammad Reza Shah, the last king of Iran. During the 1960s and 70s, Iran was moving fast. The economy was booming. Infrastructure was expanding. Schools, universities, hospitals, highways, all built at record speed. Iranian women were entering the workforce, studying abroad, becoming doctors and lawyers. The middle class was growing. The country had global recognition, oil money was flowing in, and the future looked promising. But in the shadows of all that progress, something else was growing. Quietly, steadily. The conservative religious establishment, the clergy, were gaining ground. Unlike his father, Reza Shah, who ruled with an iron fist and pushed religion out of politics, Mohammad Reza chose a softer approach. He tried to keep the peace with the clergy, perhaps thinking he could win them over or at least avoid conflict. He let them keep their religious schools. He allowed their influence in certain social systems. He gave them space, even benefits, hoping maybe they would stay neutral. On the surface, it looked like tolerance. In reality, it was a slow surrender. While the Shah was focused on building the country, the clergy were focused on something else: power. And when unrest started bubbling in the late 70s, they were ready. The Shah had many chances to confront the growing threat, but he didn't. He hesitated. He pardoned those who attacked his government. He refused to crush the uprisings with full force. Not because he was weak, but because he didn't want blood on his hands. He wanted to be the good king, the merciful king, the one who listened. But those who stood against him weren't looking for mercy. They were looking for a way in, and when they got it, they didn't stop. They took everything. In 1979, the monarchy collapsed. The clergy took control, and everything changed. The women who had once studied freely were now forced under strict dress codes. The artists, scholars, and thinkers who had helped build the country, silenced, exiled, or imprisoned. Iran's image on the world stage shifted from a rising modern nation to a country isolated by sanctions, censorship, and fear. And the root of it all wasn't just politics. It was psychology. A leader who couldn't say no. A man who thought being gentle would save the country, when what the moment demanded was strength. Maybe the Shah wasn't a bad man. Maybe he truly wanted to avoid violence. But history doesn't judge intentions. It judges outcomes. Being kind to those who want to tear you down is not compassion. It's betrayal, not of yourself, but of the people who trust you to protect them. Decades later, the people of Iran are still living with the consequences. The Shah's kindness didn't bring peace. It opened the door to those who feared progress and crushed freedom. And once that door was open, it never closed again. Let's be honest here. Most people who get hurt in this world aren't the evil ones. They're the good ones. The nice ones. The people who always try to keep the peace. Who smile through the discomfort. Who say yes when every fiber of their being is screaming no. But here's the cold truth. Being nice has a cost. And if you don't know where to draw the line, you'll be the one paying it. So, what does being too nice actually mean? It means putting other people's comfort above your own sanity. It means silencing your voice to avoid rocking the boat. It means giving and giving and giving and getting used. Used by people who see your kindness as weakness. And trust me, they do. You think you're keeping the peace. But what you're really doing is slowly disappearing. So where's the line? Here's the thing. Kindness isn't bad. But kindness without boundaries is self-destruction. You don't owe anyone your time, your energy, your body, your trust, just because they ask nicely. You don't owe people forgiveness if they're not willing to take responsibility. You don't owe endless chances to someone who keeps crossing your limits. That's not being kind. That's being an emotional doormat. You're too available, too predictable, too easy to say yes. And guess what? People don't respect that. They don't love you more for it. They just get used to taking from you. You think being nice means being loved. But in reality, being nice with no boundaries means being invisible. You're the person who's always there until you're not. And when you finally say no, suddenly you're selfish. Because your kindness was never seen as kindness. It was expected. You've trained people to think that your time doesn't matter. That your energy is free. That your feelings come last. And you smiled through it all, hoping that being kind would somehow be enough. But here's the truth. Being kind without boundaries isn't kindness. It's self-erasure. It's giving people the best parts of you while you quietly fall apart. And you deserve more than that. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to protect your peace without explaining why. Not everyone will like it. Some people will get uncomfortable. But the ones who truly respect you, they'll stay. They won't need you to shrink yourself to make them feel better. So no, don't stop being a kind person. Stop being the kind of person who forgets themselves just to keep others comfortable. Because that version of nice, it's not love. It's fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of being alone. Fear of not being enough. You are enough, even when you say no. You are still good, even when you disappoint someone. You don't need to earn your worth through exhaustion and silence. Set boundaries. Speak up. Choose peace over approval. And most of all, be kind, but never at the cost of yourself.